Gervonta Davis proves that Bill Haney and Devin Haney are the dumbest promoters in boxing history. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. And in this video, we are going to be talking about Devin and Bill Haney, Gervonta Davis, Oscar De La Hoya, some lawsuits, and Bill Haney having to be the worst promoter in the history of promotion. I'm really thinking that he may be. After Oscar De La Hoya has his Clapback Thursdays. Now, before I get into that, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you want to support the channel, hit that super thanks, because it is how we're able to continue to do this work. If you like the video at the end, hey man, toss your boy a quarter. I'm cheap, but thank you so much any way it goes. Let's get into this. So, Oscar De La Hoya in his Clapback Thursdays said exactly what I said, pretty much, about Devin Haney's lawsuit against him and Ryan Garcia for battery, fraud, and breach of contract. Now, I will not belabor the point about how you cannot sue somebody. You should not be able to sue anybody for breach of contract and fraud at the same time, or breach of contract and battery at the same time, because it doesn't work with the law. We'll just set that aside for a second. And we will go to the fact that he said that all Bill and Devin Haney want, really, is something else I told you, is that all they want is an accounting of the books. They just want to see how much money they made. And Oscar De La Hoya said that you could have we live in the same neighborhood. You just could have came over and asked to see my books. Now, he showed a picture of his, BALLS, but you get the point. Now, this is the relevant fact that came out. Gervonta Davis, when you compare Gervonta Davis's fight with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney's fight with Ryan Garcia, you now know who was primarily responsible for selling the tickets to Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. And it was Gervonta Davis. Because, at least in theory, Gervonta Davis just did 400,000 pay-per-views against a guy named Frank Martin, who not a lot of people know, even though the Ghost is the man, right? But known within hardcore boxing, circles, but like me, not in the general sports world. Frank Martin, they did 400,000 pay-per-views, at least 400,000 for that. The reports from people that are familiar with the numbers actually said it was more than 400,000. So Oscar De La Hoya says that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia did a little over 300,000 pay-per-view buys. A little over 300,000. Now, that means that Gervonta Davis sold 1/3 more against somebody that nobody ever really heard of. And when you compare Gervonta's fight with Ryan and Devin and Ryan, they outsold them by somewhere around 900,000 to 1 million pay-per-views. Okay, the magnitude of Gervonta Davis is significantly higher, obviously. But let's talk about that $300,000 though, and why I say that this will probably make Bill Haney the dumbest promoter ever. Bill Haney, if they do 300,000 pay-per-views at $70 a pop, and they had over a $4 million gate, that, my friend, is a $25 million fight in gross revenue. And if you just do not pay attention to any of the other lines of revenue, like merchandising and all of that stuff, whatever else you actually get paid, just set that to the side. And we're just going to talk about the money generated off of those two things. Okay, the gate and the the gates and the pay-per-view, you will see that Gervonta Davis is just really huge. But Bill is just really dumb for this movie made, because at $25 million, he was paid out of gross profit. I mean, he was paid out of net revenue, net profit. He was paid out of net profit. So if you say that the fight earned 10% profit, I do believe the number that Devin Haney would have gotten paid out of that $25 million in gross revenue. You know how much he gets out of net profit? He gets roughly $600,000, a little less than $600,000, right? He got paid, I do believe, $1 million though. And the reason that I know he got paid $1 million is because that's how much Ryan got paid. And Ryan had to send back and forfeit $1 million. So honestly, if it's 47%, then Ryan Garcia really, I mean, probably got paid more money than Devin did. So he might not even have got $1 million. But let's look at what he would have gotten if Bill Haney would have said, let me get paid out of gross revenue. 47% of gross revenue is somewhere around $10.5 million. It's like $10.5 million in gross revenue. Now, you could put a floor on there and say that, hey, man, or a ceiling, floor, like, hey, man, you got to meet this before I start paying it. So it can come down some. But you see the huge difference between the two, between getting paid in net profit and gross revenue. That's just an amazing oversight that cost Devin Haney unreal amount of money. And now that we know that what he really wants is to look at the books, and you hear Bill Haney saying that if Ryan got damages, then he should get damages too, and that's the reason that he sued, and you look and see the actual case itself is very, very weak. No, man, this is just an attempt to kind of catch yourself from where you fell. You took a chance, got beat up, lost the fight. Man, now you're looking bad, and you signed a dumb deal. Because really, if you would have been paid out of gross revenue, dude, he could have made out like a bandit in that fight. He could have made they really both could have made $8-9 million in that fight, him and Ryan, if they would have gotten gross revenue, but they didn't. They got net profit, or he at least Devin got that. Well, Ryan didn't get anything because he had to turn it back in. So, man, just all the way around, man, like 300,000 pay-per-views. 300,000 pay-per-views. Honestly, that's better than I thought it did. And I wouldn't be surprised. Well, no, I would say I wouldn't be surprised. But honestly, I don't think that Oscar De La Hoya can lie in this situation. I think because there's a case out there, I think Oscar De La Hoya has to tell the truth about what his pay-per-views were. So when he says a little over 300,000, he's probably telling the truth, because he said, look, man, I had to make sure everything was in order before I responded. And one of the things that he said in the response was that about battery, and say you are literally paid to batter people in a ring, but you're suing somebody for battery. I did like the succinctness of that argument, but really the case is, dude, you consented to the battering. And there's no real scientific evidence that is going to say that Osterine was that little amount of Osterine was the reason you lost. Just a whack situation all around. That's why I'm saying this shit is dumb. You should have just let that float, because your argument wasn't strong. Like, you don't make arguments that aren't strong. You make strong arguments so that people can respect you when you're making arguments you need to make. But when you're just out here making arguments that don't make sense, eventually people are going to be like, oh, he's just a scab. He just out here doing what? He's just covering up a wound. You know what I'm saying? That's all he is. He ain't telling the truth. He just covering up his wounds. Anyway, that's my take on the matter. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces. Oh, and run the fight back, Dev. Peace.